It's Jam TV show 187. Hey, Jam TV. Will be
Greetings. Boy, we're like a sea of flowers and weird pattern things behind you. and the shirt.
I got my monkeys. I got a gig this weekend with Hot Rubber Monkey Band. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I bought this shirt to be. I bought this shirt for a Hot Rubber Monkey Band gig because it's like. You remember these? The Hot Rubber Monkey, the monkey. You know. The one that you wind it up and it plays the cymbal.
Oh, you know? yeah. Okay, yeah.
And so this band. It's kind of sort of started
Based
at my jam. The first gig they ever did was they were Hot Yoga Explosion, and then they became Hot Rubber Monkey Band, and they were so fun that I was like, I am in your band. And they're like, you're not in our band. And they did a couple gigs here and there. And I'm like, I'm in your band. I am coming to your gigs and I'm playing and you can't stop me. And they were like, what? And they, I literally would just show up and be like, and I get paid too. And after a while, they would announce me as special guest Ed Trade. I'm like, no, I'm in the band.
I'm not a special guest. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, that's how it happened. And after about 4 or 5 gigs, they were like, I guess you're in the band,
I guess, he's a member,
But then this crazy thing happened. So one of the guys in the band moved to Vermont. And we used to play up at, he lives on the grounds of Magic Mountain, the ski area, which is up near Stowe. And
every weekend.
Yeah, and so we would drive up there a couple times a year, like 4th of July or, New Year's Eve kind of thing. I don't know. We'd go up there and play at the lodge. And but he lives right there. Now he doesn't live in Fairfield County anymore, the guitar player. The great guy, Jay Cardhouse. And he so he left the band. He didn't leave the band, but he's like, I'll play when I can come around, which is not much.
Yeah, right.
and then McDuff's in Greenwich, the place that we played, we had an inn at McDuff's and we played at McDuff's and we played and whatever. He would drive down and do things in Connecticut and plan it with his gig and all that stuff. And McDuff's went out of business.
I thought, you said last week you were saying, yeah.
Well, no, they went out of business. They're back now as something else, and we're playing there. So hopefully maybe we'll play more. But what happened was I got screwed because what happened was bands now are finding it harder and harder to get money for gigs. If you walk in and go, we're a 5-piece band, we need $500. We're a 6-piece band, we need $600, it's a good deal, but there are bands out there doing it for $300. So those guys were like, why don't we make it a 3-piece band? We lost Jay. Let's lose Ed, and now we're a 3-piece band. And they did the acoustic version of Hot Rubber Monkey Band. I'm like, sons of bitches. So anyway, this is a complete gig, not the acoustic version.
This is not Hot Rubber Monkey Light. Yeah, this is not that. Yeah,
I'm like, unplugged. Really? I'm like, I'll play accordion in your acoustic, not Ed Train version. So
your acoustic, not Ed Train version.
Anyway, bastards, right? So anyway, so now I'm playing with Frank Rogers and I'm filling in those gigs. We play at the same place. So we had a good time with Hot Rubber Monkey Band, and I have known those guys a long time. So we're playing Friday at Ollie's, which is the old McDuff's at the bottom of Greenwich Avenue, in case anybody cares. That's what's happening. So,
I care, Ed. I care. I can't get there because I live too far away, but I care.
No, yeah, but yeah, maybe I'll put some video clips on the show next week or something.
Wise. So
how about you? You've been gigging? Yeah. What was with that gig that you played? I know I asked you about it last week, but I forgot now. What was that gig you were playing last week or 2 weeks ago?
It was a gig in a Japanese restaurant that had 500 people eating eating sushi, and me playing like really mellow, quiet guitar. So I just brought a big fucking PA system, and pushed it about as far as they would allow me to, and it was good.
Right.
I got, but it worked out really well. One of the things that is nice is that I can say you're not hiring a solo act. You're hiring a band.
It's amazing, yeah.
This band goes from one person to 3 people to sometimes as many as 20 people.
Right.
You're getting all of that. So at least it enables me to scrape my way in. But it was also one of those gigs where you're a fly on the wall, and you're like the same pattern of wallpaper as the wall. Like you don't exist.
It's fly wallpaper.
Yeah. So these folks, so we'll see whether I go back or not.
No, but that's great. Like I now I remember everything. So last week what I was saying is, it's okay to be background music sometimes. It's okay. Like I played with this with Frank Rogers, which is kind of a hard-hitting jam band, rock band kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we didn't tone it down at all. We got hired to play at a yacht club, but it turns out it was a wake for somebody that passed away. Oh. And so we show up, and it was a wake crowd. And
what were you wearing?
No, I mean I wasn't wearing this, but I mean it was I don't dress like this in public. So we get up, like it's jammed, like there's like hundreds of people there. It's jammed, and there's food, and they're all talking, and wasn't he a great I didn't know the guys. It was like, what a great guy, and it was really terrible what happened, and everybody's upset, and the family's upset, and I'm like, how did I end up at a wake with a rock band? So then we start playing, and they're kind of looking at us like,
what are you doing? Yeah.
We're talking about like it's a wake. And we're like, we got hired to play here. I think we got hired to play here. And So
I'm sorry, but we don't have any Seals and Crofts and Loggins and Messina stuff.
No, but you know what? I'll tell you this. Whoever hired us was right, because the wake needed to not be awake anymore, and everybody had been drinking, and they got up and they partied and had a great time, and I guess that was the whole idea.
Yeah, it's funny how there are wakes and memorials and all these different, whatever event they might be, they're all kind of the same thing, which is there's some that are kind of, that really are genuinely like everybody's kind of happy to be there. They're sad that they've lost the person, but it's kind of a celebration. And then there's others where it's just like at the other extreme, where it's like horrible. He died young, it was off, and everyone was like upset, and it's like you don't want to be at those. You want to be at those.
No. So anyway, why don't you play a song, and then I'm going to bring Dave Robinson on. I saw he dropped in the studio. I'm looking forward to seeing him. He's disgusting, by the way, but I'll tell you about that later. So do it. Just disgusting. Like, oh my God. Dave Robinson, you are disgusting. He sent me a picture of like something they took out of his body, and they're like, hey, look at this. I'm like,
oh God. Oh, this wasn't one of those like you have this much fat in your body.
I hope you can hear me, Dave Robinson. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and you have my permission.
I am glad to see you. I'm always glad to see anybody that survived surgery and all that crap you've been through, but I'm really glad to see you. But you didn't just before the show, he's like, look at this. I'm like,
don't show that on the show, please.
No, I'm just kidding. How are you doing, Dave Robinson? What's going on?
I'm okay, but I'm Scarface.
Oh, you're
Scarface.
Scarface. My right side has a 3 to 3.5 inch scar. It's got staples. I don't even know if you can't see it. Can you?
It is not time for your close-up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
We'll always ask, Dave, is there something wrong with your face? Can you do something about it? You do not want to go there, I don't think. I don't think you want to do that.
Well, I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad to see you're in good spirits and all that.
Yes, I am. Thank you, guys. I love you guys.
You get a freaking hangnail, and I'm worried about anybody. You know what I mean? Like, if anything happens to anybody, but you've been through a roller coaster ride. I'm glad you're doing okay, Dave Robinson.
The flip side of it is that you're really good at keeping secrets. If it's something, you're like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on with Will. Don't know.
Right. There you
go. Our secrets are safe with you, but if it's cool to let people know, you'll let people know.
But I do have one question. I have one question. Do you guys shop at the same store, or do you coordinate your shirts? Because, like, I think you got the same shirt on.
Tonight is a special night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Train, we love you, brother, and we love the show. And also, there's no way I'm putting a T-shirt on.
Right. Okay.
And the drain that they had in me, a little irritated. You know what I'm saying? So an open shirt. This is the shirt to wear.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
I wasn't sure if you were going to come on with like a, cravat. Who was the Speaker of the House who she always wore like a scarf or a sweater or a cravat or something in the first 4 years, and then finally like stopped wearing it? I can't remember. Anyway, I was curious to see whether like is he going to have a bandage?
That was me. So back in the ancient times, I had way before the pandemic, I had a surgery on my neck, like right here. And it was gory. Anything to do with your neck or anything to do with your head is gory, right? Yeah, and so I had this surgery, but I told no one. Like, I told my friend Guy because I stayed at his house, so I had to tell him. But I told no one, and I had Wendy May sub my jam for me. Because, like, I was having surgery, like, I think it was, like, Wednesday. I had a Tuesday, and I got out of the hospital Wednesday, and the jam was Thursday. I'm like, no way I'm running a jam and setting up whatever. God. And so I had Wendy do it, but I didn't tell her, and I didn't tell anybody. I was like, I got something I'm doing. I'm busy and whatever. Because the last thing I wanted to have everybody in the freaking world like, we're worried about you.
Are you okay?
And so then that Thursday night, this is a long time ago, I showed up at my jam. I said to Guy, let's go. And I put on a cravat. Right? It was cold out, I think. And I put on a turtleneck, and I put on like a scarf. And I put it on, and I went to my own jam, and I sat at the bar, and I was like, if I move, it'll hurt a lot, so I won't move.
I can't turn my head to look at you.
I'll just sit there at the bar, like and watch the jam. People came over, Ed, how? And then they bang you on the shoulder. How are you? And you're like, no, don't do it. And then I didn't tell anybody until like 2 weeks later when I knew, like, all right, I'm totally out of the woods. I'm totally fine. Yeah. So there you have it.
Well, last week I had actually fell down. I wasn't jogging, but it was like a fast walk in rugged territory, and right by the river, and tripped on a root and landed really hard on my leg, and it was just one of those things where your whole body hits the ground completely unprepared.
Oh,
totally
don't do
unexpected.
it! Don't do that.
So I'm there, and I'm right on the edge of the trail, and all of the weight is landed on the side of my leg. And I'm thinking, God, I'm like out in the middle of nowhere here. I'm a mile and a half from home. And I start to slide down the embankment of the river. Right? And I find a foothold, and I put my foot on this rock, and my leg is like killing me. And I'm thinking, okay, good. Now I'm okay. And then the rock pops out from under me. And I slide. And while I'm sliding slowly down in towards the river, I'm remembering my yuppie friends 2 years ago going, you should get walking sticks because they make you much more stable in uneven ground.
And let me guess, there was a vulture sitting on a fence right next to where you were, like
waiting,
sharpening his knife,
Well, then before the show last week, a friend had said, if you're in pain, I've got, because I had said I got the show and I'm going to be kind of sore, and they were going, well, I've got, I can give you a tincture. And I was like, a tincture? And they said, it's like, you put it under your tongue, it's like, I was like, it's like THC.
It's
like
snake oil.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Well, it's like, weed under your tongue. And that like helps with pain, and he said, well, yeah. And I thought, well, it would at least make me not care about the pain. So I considered it for a moment. And then I imagined at 8:30 how usually Lorenz will come on with that
the theremin.
The theremin, which would like scare the living shit out of me if I were high. Right, and that would be the point when the tincture would kick in, and I'd be like, oh, I'm finally feeling better, and then like, oh my God, that strange sound. So I didn't take the tincture thing last week. I just muscled through.
Cool.
It's so hard to be Will.
It's hard to be Will, and so play us a song. Do it.
Okay. All right.
Get this show on the road.
Okay. I want to do a video that's no, never mind. I'll just play it.
All right. Excellent.
A little different from the original, eh?
That's really cool.
It's big time different. It kind of reminded me of "You Won't Get Fooled Again" by the Who.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was Teenage Wasteland.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to do a video. I don't know if I'll do it because they take so much time to do. But the whole phenomenon of kids and social media and how it's being linked to depression and anxiety and all sorts of social issues and so on.
Adults and social media.
Yeah, I think adults and social media are definitely being linked.
I don't care about the damn kids. They're fine. I'm worried about me.
But so that song and a whole different way of looking at Teenage Wasteland,
Right.
was looking at how social media is a wasteland for kids.
Oh my God, yeah.
But we'll see whether I put the video together. And the other thing is I did a video like that about domestic violence, and nobody wants to see this kind of stuff. This is not entertainment. You know?
Really. Nice light topics you're choosing as an artist, Will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Next, I'll take on the Holocaust. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ed,
Oh my
I think
God.
he's going a little dark.
Yeah, you're going a little dark, Will Barrett. I don't know.
Going dark. You don't want to hear me go dark.
You're the only light thing on this show, for crying out loud. You can't go over to the dark side.
I do have a problem, which you probably share, which is, it's been a couple of years since the pandemic, and I now have a collection of like 24 floral shirts that I can't wear anywhere but here.
In my closet, I have a pretty small closet. In my closet, all that's in the closet is the colorful shirts. It's like
tropical.
The closet is like a filing cabinet for colorful shirts. But I don't, and I used to wear them out when I gigged, and we're like, I'm going to wear this Friday at Hot Rubber Monkey Band in Greenwich. But I used to wear colorful shirts, and now I'm like, I'm not going to go to the store wearing a colorful shirt. I'm going to do it on the air. Mm-hmm. No, it's funny. When you said collection, I am Ed, and I have a problem. Whatever it is, right? So,
hi Ed.
Hi Ed. Right. So
my name is Ed.
So there's a thing called gas. Let's talk about that on GMTV. Gear acquisition syndrome. Do you guys know about this?
No.
Dave Robinson, who has gear acquisition syndrome. Oh, you've never heard of it?
Yeah, he has DAS. Yeah, drum acquisition syndrome. Sure.
No, so there's this thing called gear acquisition syndrome, which is a thing. You can look it up. People do PhDs on the subject of this, right? And it has to do with musicians, like thinking, like, okay, if I just get that one more piece of whatever, I'll be better. It'll be more awesome. Like, I know I do it for enjoyment. I do it for my art. But if I just had one more drum set, or if I had one more keyboard, or one more. So I know I have a lifelong problem. As a matter of fact, I was showing a student this, right? So I have this piece of gear, right, which looks modern, right?
Mm-hmm.
This came out. This is a Yamaha. And it's a groove box. In one of the first ever groove boxes. This came out in 87, I think this came out. And you remember Bjork?
Yes. Bjork. Oh, yeah. She punched out someone in a airport for asking for an autograph.
Bjork, right.
Yeah.
And she, for this like edgy, weird, artsy chick from Iceland, right?
Yeah, that's right. From
and
Iceland.
Bjork, she didn't endorse this, but she had one of these. And it's battery operated. She would have her headphones, and she would be walking down the beach in Iceland. Looks like the moon,
Beach?
And she's like rocking out on this thing, right? It's like a grooved bass and drums and synths and a groove box back like in the ancient times. So I still have this. I turned it on in 10, 15 years. I still have it. I'm trying to get around. Right. And then the other day, Facebook Marketplace is part of my problem, right? They're like, do you want to buy? Oh, can you hear me?
Oh my God!
I glitched.
Our fearless leader is breaking up. I think you've frozen and your audio.
Some glitches happening. Well, hopefully you can hear me. You can hear me now.
Well, not really. No.
Oh no!
Oh my God, Ed, come back.
We've never lost.
Why don't you do another song, Wilbur?
Oh, actually, you're back now. You're smooth.
Oh, I'm back.
Yes, you're back.
You're moving.
Oh, internet issue, obviously, right? So what I was saying was, Facebook Marketplace. They're like, do you want this little? Like, this is really little. Look how big this is. Like, it's not much bigger than a groove box. I mean, it's it's not. Small,
well, it's frozen.
It's a
frozen.
little 8-track recorder by Zoom, right?
Okay.
I'm surrounded by recorders. I have digital audio workstations. Nope. Had to get it, right? Haven't turned it on yet. Haven't plugged it in yet.
But I've got to get it.
I'm gonna put it on the shelf. It's like you ever see the movie Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
You've seen that. It's like it's like he plays this it's an old movie. He plays this zany weirdo who used to be a CIA hitman or something, and now he's like, they unprogrammed him and he's just a weirdo cab driver guy, whatever. And the CIA or whatever, the dark ops that reprogrammed his brain, they programmed him that anytime he saw a copy of Catcher in the Rye, the book, he had to buy it. He was compelled to buy it.
I must buy that.
Right. And so he like goes off the grid, but then he goes to like a bookstore and he's like, I'll take this. Right, he has to buy it. He's
I'll take all
compelled
of
to buy it. And then they shows up on the CIA radar, like, we got him. We got somebody buying Catcher in the Rye. That's him. Let's get him. You know?
That's the guy.
And so,
The Catcher in the Rye chip.
but that's
like
me. Like I can't. You know, like I don't. And the worst part of it is I don't. You know, Dave Robinson, I'm proud of you, right? Because you make music and you put it out there. You
Yeah.
sit at your drum set and you
Every
play.
day.
You got a thing, right? You sit at your drum set and you play the song and you play along and you do your thing and you send out your positive vibes and your positive energy and people watch you. I don't write and put out my music. Like I don't even do it that much. But like, gotta have it. I got it for $30. Some guy didn't know what he had and sold it for $30.
yeah.
It's worth way more than that. But you know, I also had to have this, right? Oh my God, had to have it. Anyway, so there's something wrong with me. And I'm not even releasing music, so
It's like yachts. It's sort of it's not like yachts.
it's like yachts.
It's like I have to have a bigger one. I have to have a bigger one now. Now I have to have a bigger one. You know, and I just find
Right.
there's this place here in Boston called the Music Emporium, and they don't sell anything for less than $10,000.
Oh.
You know, so and the guitars are all up on the wall, but the higher up you go, the more expensive they get.
Right.
So the one you really want is always like you feel like a little boy looking up at
Out of reach.
Exactly. It's like you don't want to ask them to bring it down unless, first of all, you know you're going to have to fill out an insurance policy of some sort to just to play
Right.
the fucking thing.
Right.
And then they're going to have to oh yeah, we'll bring it down. Joe, bring the ladder. You want to play the and they don't have any of the standard brands. These are all like, Taylor? No, we don't carry Taylor.
This is
Martin? No,
handmade
no,
in
we don't do Martin.
Lithuania, right? Like
We have the bourgeois Adirondack, dark
Right.
twin. It's all these things I've never heard of, and
Right.
they sound great. They're incredible guitars, but wow, what a different place.
But you could never. Like they're like $50,000, right?
Yeah, I mean, but if I had one, I'd be so different.
Yeah.
It would change everything.
Right. And then you watch Jeff Beck play like a regular old off the shelf
crappy,
Strat.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, like the clouds are parting and the beams are coming down. So, that's part of it too, is if you really have something to say musically, you could say it with whatever.
Yep. And with the instruments, it's in the fingers. It's not in the instrument. I mean,
Right.
obviously the instrument's going to sound better, but my guitar teacher, Todd Baharian, who's actually down in Norwalk, wonderful guy. I've learned from watching him because he'd sound fantastic when I hear him play live, and then I'd bring in a crappy guitar, and he'd always want to play whatever I brought in, and it'd be a crappy guitar, and he'd sound just like he did in the show that I saw
There
him
you go.
in the night before, on a $5,000 guitar. And
But so here's the question. Getting back to your original comment that sparked all of this was you said you're a collector of like shirts or whatever. Like shirts, okay, it was $20, whatever it was, right? But gear, even if you're buying the less expensive stuff, it's 100 here and 200 there and 300 here and so you're like, oh, I just got the paycheck. Maybe I need to go out and get some. I gotta buy some gear, right? And what I wonder is, like, you think about, there was some TV show. Oh, it was 30 Rock. You ever watch 30 Rock?
Yeah.
And you got Jack Donaghy, like the big business executive.
That's right.
And then it comes out that he has a separate life that he does under an assumed name, and he wears like weird suits, and he collects dolls, like porcelain dolls.
Is this the character that's played by Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, and and he's got this name, and he's got this doll collection. No, it's not dolls. It's cookie jars. He goes to like cookie jar conventions, and they're like a cookie jar at the house, and he gets dressed in this like nerdy looking suit with glasses and whatever, and he's like, and it's like that's his like secret life, and somebody finds out that like we're gonna ruin your career at General Electric because you're a wimp and you're a weirdo. And I feel like I have a cookie jar collection, Like it's not about using it. You don't use it. You just want to have it. It's got to be part of your life somehow.
I remember having to find with cookie jars. I remember having to find something. It was a key, and my sister was telling me on the phone where to find it in her house, and I couldn't find it. And she kept saying, "It's in the chicken. It's in the chicken. It's in the chicken." And I finally look over, and there's a cookie jar in the corner that's a chicken, and I go,
That's great.
"Oh, open it up, and there's the key." So
See,
as
now
soon as
we
you
know how to
mentioned
get
cookie
into your
jar,
sister's house. Yeah.
So I wanted to like beat that chicken into a pulp of
Right.
crumbled, but needless to say, I just locked the door and left.
Right.
Good
Yeah.
brother.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's me. I don't know if I'm the like. So Dave Robinson. So when you go out and get a drum set, you get like excited, right? Like it inspires you in a whole
man,
new
are you
way.
kidding me?
Yes.
We have seen this.
Yes. And it's probably somehow how insane it is. It's probably going to happen again. Right now,
What a shock.
You're
Oh,
like,
my Lord.
I had a surgery. I had a little
Everyone.
scary medical thing. I deserve another drum set.
that's how I'm going to justify it. I will justify it that way. Although at this time, I was multitasking. As
Right.
our good friend Sherry,
Yeah.
we love her.
Yeah.
She's
the
going
best.
through her medical issues.
Oh.
I know. Yeah. She just went in the hospital. She's okay, though. I heard she's okay.
Yes, and she's responding back to me,
Oh, good.
saying that I'm going through my issues and how am I doing? So I told her I'm doing fine. I just want to be able to play drums again.
Right.
At this time, I'm unable to really do that.
Yeah, you really have to
My
move around.
my left arm and hand, it's not there.
Just a matter of time. The drums will motivate you to do what you have to do.
This is true.
Yes.
The other thing is you'll whatever you. How do I put it? Yeah, are they gonna have you like do physical therapy or something?
I have that. It's funny that you say that, Will. I have a couple of bags of toys that do various different things, like if you were like playing a trumpet, things like that. My fingers and squeezing and all of that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I got weights, and I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Sure am.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about physical therapy is that it works. If you do it, and you like consistently. What's Ed waving a piece of wood?
Yeah.
He's
Right?
suggesting
it's a
that
train
you write-
whistle. Okay.
Yeah.
So
he's-
anything musical, except I don't just have one. I have two. Train whistle.
collector. Yeah, that's the yeah.
There you go.
Gas. You were like a train gas, a train buff gas guy.
Love it.
Yeah.
And they're covered in dust bunnies because they're like on my shelf and I haven't blown them in like
Right.
a year. They're within reach.
Right, and they sound great.
Oh
I
my
get
God.
I went to this train exposition a couple of months ago in Boston. It was in a little side town of just outside of the city, and it was like the biggest fire trap you can imagine because there's like hundreds of people piled into this place. It's got this huge diorama with all these trains going
Right.
around, and there's these guys here and there in little groups who are like operating the trains, like talking to each other and so on.
With
and
transformors and wires and
exactly
like
right.
electrical
And
conductors
thinking,
all over the place.
These are like the geeks of the universe. I mean, I was thinking, I mean, you have time to be doing this?
Right.
Because nobody's seeing it. You're doing it alone all the time. This is like you open the place up once a year. We're all going to like get trapped up here, And so I get into a conversation with the guys, and I say, "So, well, what do you do for a living?" And he said, "Oh, I'm the chairman of such and such of the such and such department at MIT." And I was like, "Oh." And he said, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I play music."
That's it. Trains. Like so I have a little, my last name is Train, so I have a little bit of a love for trains somehow. Like I'm not crazy about trains, but within reach, I have a book called The Train Recognition Guide. Right?
That's like a bird. It's like for birds, except
From
it's
the
trains.
Smithsonian, like the Smithsonian,
wow.
and you could be like,
Very
oh look, I like that train and the
That's a
specs
South Pacific.
and
Yeah.
the horsepower and the specs and the. But I don't love it a lot. I like that it's called the Train Recognition Guide. To me, that's funny.
There's Ed.
It's a good name for a band.
The Train Recognition
Good name
Guide.
for the group. Let's start it.
So
Well,
it's on my
basically-
shelf. with
it
all
depends
my
on
useless stuff that I don't use.
it depends on how you spell it, like train wreck
Right.
ignition guide.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
is it like
so-
or is it train recognition? You know,
I always wanted to have a record company called Train Records, spelled
Yeah.
WRECKARDS.
that would be fun.
But I don't want to run a record company.
Yeah, I love business, but except for the people, you know.
Yeah, right.
That was
exactly.
what made me not be
But
a
so
good
my
manager.
father was an airline executive. He was a marketing guy. So he was like visible in the airline industry. And believe it or not, the airlines and the manufacturers and the companies that deal with airlines, it's a huge industry, obviously, right?
Well, and that was during the explosive growth period.
But you would think that the airlines are super competitive with each other and they're not friends with each other and they hate each other. Like American and United will never meet, you know, and they'll never give the time of day to some little carrier, you know, like JetBlue, whatever,
Right.
Southwest. But
Yeah,
it's not true.
Lufthansa.
They all know each other. They all, you know, they all do things together. They all play golf with each other. The entire aviation industry is very, very tight knit. So everybody knew my dad. Like he was,
Yeah.
you know, running an airline out of Kennedy Airport, and his name was Marty Train, Marty Train, right? And so we went to a convention once in Acapulco, Mexico, the big aviation convention, and all the airlines are there and all the tour operators and the companies involved in aviation so that they can meet. Like it was a big annual convention. And the companies all had like hospitality suites. You could invite people to come to your hospitality suite and say, you should use our airline or you should use our baggage handling system or whatever it was, right? And so my father, they had a giveaway. I was like 9 years old or 8 years old. They had a giveaway, and it was Marty Train is a lousy name for an airline executive. Rename him Marty Blank. And the winner got a Märklin train set, one of those little Märklin train sets.
The really
Yes.
tiny ones.
Yeah, but you had to come to the hospitality suite and hang out and have a drink and figure
get
out how
your
to do
drinks.
business, and then you could enter Marty Blank, right? And the winner, you ready? Marty Pants,
Oh,
Marty Pants.
like Smarty Pants,
yeah, yeah.
Smarty Pants.
My gosh.
Yeah.
It was Marty Pants. So that was the winner, and I wanted the train set. I was like, "Come on, give the train set to
Yeah.
the kid! Like I
Yeah,
want
exactly.
the train set."
It's like the person who steals the baseball from a kid. You know, it's like
My
the
name
fly
is
ball.
also Train. Like, give me the train.
Yeah.
But no, I never had a train set collection or anything like that.
Clearly, they were all having too good a time to actually take it. You know,
Right.
to not turn it into a joke. You know.
Correct. But yeah, so that's my my
That's
gear acquisition syndrome. I don't know. Like I saw another piece of gear today, like on the internet, and I'm like, oh, it's not even that much, only a couple $100, and
That's the
I
hard
must
thing,
have
yeah.
it. I'm like, I already have a backlog of things that I need to work with, you know. But it's
Well, you know, I mean,
chance.
you've heard me say before on the show 2 years ago, probably by now. You know what David Crosby said. You know that buy the best guitar you can for the money because you'll play it more often and become
Right.
a better guitar player. You know?
Or be
So-
Willie Nelson.
You know, buy one guitar and beat the shit out.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it broke in half, but we got some glue and we glued it together.
But maybe it means that it will, because you have more gadgets or more gear, not gadgets, that it will make you more creative. You know, the way that like Nash was saying Crosby was saying that a guitar, you know, having a good guitar will make you play better, and because you're playing more frequently, maybe having all this weird funky stuff around your studio. I mean, do you sit there like going, what'll I do? Oh, I'll play with that thing. You know.
Well, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, you're right. You know, that's how I justify it. I mean, you know, you when you get, especially when you get a, I'm sure it's the same with guitars or whatever, but it's a little different with electronic things because this thing is way different than this other thing, right? And what you do is you get the thing and you're like, let's see what it does. So you start messing with it. You figure out it obviously can't do everything. It just does some things. And most of what it does is not good. Like, it's okay. it's fine. The piano sound is awful, and but that bass sound, I could do something with that. So you find your inspiration in the patches and the presets and the way you program, and then you're like, oh, this thing is really good for that one thing. Like, it's amazing at
that purpose.
And then that becomes, like, I'm sure on a guitar, that guitar, like that one chord or the way you whatever play it.
There's situations where you put the 12-string guitar is where you want to put it, right there.
Right.
Don't use a 6-string; it won't sound as good. It doesn't have the sustain. That kind of thing where it's just like this sounds perfect right there.
Right.
And if you played it all the time, it would be boring. Yeah.
Right. And so, that's what happens is that you get a new thing, and then you're inspired to play it. You'll get to sit there. You're not going to play your old crappy one you've had for 20 years. Like, now that's the crappy one. You're going to play the new one until you decide the crappy one was better, and I just never needed the new one.
Switch back.
You switch back.
Old switchback. Yeah.
And then it sits there. Guys like Nick Carter, like he has a wall full of guitars. It's like,
that's right.
Is he playing them all? Is he pulling them down?
I've always been I've never been certain whether they're there or whether it's a green screen.
It's a poster
because it looks so clean. It looks so neat.
Cardboard cutouts. Yeah.
But on the other hand, he's a very clean, neat guy. You can tell.
Yeah.
So it might be real. I don't know.
Right.
I can't tell.
That's true. That's true. All right, Will Barrett, save us. Do another song, would you?
All right.
Will, while you get ready to play, I'm gonna pop a pill. Because not that I don't want to call it pain, but it's discomfort.
All right, do it. Do it. Make it happen.
Go ahead. Yeah, don't be uncomfortable.
I can hear you. I can actually hear you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Go for it, Wilbert.
Yeah, life is too short to be in pain. I wanted to do the King of Pain, but I couldn't get to it quick enough, and I thought maybe it wouldn't be right, given what
Wrapped
David was
around
going through.
Yeah.
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 It
Beautiful.
sounds great.
So that'll be that's going to be what you and your drumstick, figuratively speaking, that's what they're going to be like, in soon time,
So what do you use again to produce your music when you do your recording work? What's your setup like?
Sure. I use a group of elves when they're not.
Yeah, of course.
not
We
being
all
employed
use
on-
elves, of course.
Yeah.
You know.
That's right. The Elf Union. No, I use Logic Pro.
Oh yeah.
Logic Pro 10, and it comes with some canned loops, most of which sound like crap, and for percussion stuff at least. And I don't know how to use the other things. It's one of there's a classic rule in the software industry that 80% of the users use 20% of the features.
Absolutely.
For me, with Logic Pro, it's like 99% of the user uses 1% of the features.
Right, right.
I can't figure out how any of it works, and I've had it, and I said that 2 years ago on the show at least. I mean, I can't figure it out.
You have to decide as an artist. You have to decide where you sit on the spectrum of technology, recording engineer versus artist.
That's exactly it. And you find yourself if you're a home recording person solo, you find yourself going, depending on which side of that fence you're on. For me, I want to be a musician. I don't want to be a producer.
That's it.
Trying to figure out what is that static coming from? Where's the static? Why can't I get a better guitar sound?
Right.
I have to move the mic around. I hate this shit. I want to play.
That's it.
It's a very strange, home
That's why
studio.
people pay to go to recording studios, because you get a producer who says, "I'll tell you if it sounds good or not. I'll be responsible for making sure that it sounds good to people." Yeah. And you just do what you do, and I'll figure out how to get it down on a recording the best possible way. Mm-hmm. But you have to decide, and I'm kind of, I'm about 50-50. I like to make music, but I also love the tech aspect of music. I like a sound of a microphone. Well, which microphone are we going to use? And it's like, if you're an artist, you're like, I don't know, the one I've got.
I can't figure them out.
I want to use the one I have. I can't tell the difference between that and a Neumann U87 or a U47 or And there's this funny YouTube YouTube series where it's a recording artist in a studio, and she's recording for the first time, and the recording engineer brings out this amazing microphone that none of us could ever afford, this crazy mic, and she goes, that's not a Neumann U87. And he goes, no, but this is a new modeling microphone, and I can model different versions of the U87. She goes, so you don't have a Neumann U87? And the artist is 8 years old. She's this little girl. And she's belittling this guy. And the U87 or the U40, whichever one, it's $5,000 mic or whatever. And it's a U47, right? And I was over at Nile Rodgers' house in Westport, Connecticut, at his studio.
All the time, yeah.
And I was over there because I knew his engineer, and I was over there, and he has the microphone. It is the mic, It's $20,000, some crazy number, right?
Okay.
It's a Neumann. I think it's a U47, and it's the right year. It's just like people buy guitars from a certain year.
Yeah. This was a special year.
It was the one. It was the mic. And David Bowie recorded "Let's Dance" on it, and Madonna recorded "Like a Virgin" on it, and this microphone has had the spit of really famous people on it,
By the way, Niles, have you cleaned this thing off since COVID?
You cannot buy that microphone. That's a priceless microphone, But money is truly no object. He has sold billions of dollars of records, literally billions. Oh. And so it doesn't matter. And it's almost like you go, I remember that microphone because of what that mic has seen, the rooms that mic has been. It's always been in his collection, and he would bring it to studios, and they would use that mic, and so it had kind of a holy quality, a holy grail quality.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's like when your minister brings that little communion kit to some special location to do communion. It's got like little teeny
Right.
cups and little teeny
Right, and
it's all
so
goes to a
you know,
case.
like I used to have a bunch of really nice mics, whatever, and then times got a little tough, and I looked at my mic cabinet, and I'm like, I don't know, I got $10,000 worth of mics in my mic cabinet, and I don't really use them like they need to be used. Like they should be in a professional studio, not in a home studio. I just had collected them over the years, and I sold them all. I think I bought a car. It was like I don't remember what I bought, but it was like a lot of money. It was $10,000 30 years ago. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
You could get a lot. Yeah.
When that was real money, and so but part of it is you just feel like this microphone. This is a perfectly good microphone. This series of mics is. It's a Shure, and it's like, is it better than a 58? Okay, is it unbelievably better? Okay, but like Shure, this company Shure, this one might be a couple $100, and they make one that looks just like it that's $400, and it's a little different. You see them sometimes on like the Money No Object podcast, and you see them. This is like the podcast mic, and they're a bunch of geniuses because honestly, you could use an SM58 here, which is $100, or you could use the knockoff, which is $7, and it's fine. If I swapped out the knockoff of the 58 for $7, it kind of sounds like this,
It is kind of a stereotype that's true, or the cliche is the people who are doing a podcast who have these two massive mics with these huge windscreens on them, and them, and it's like, you really need those things? I mean, what's inside them is like the size of a pencil, you don't really. I mean,
and Dave's got a fancy mic. I don't know what that is. Is that an AKG? What do you got there?
I bet it's an AKG.
He doesn't even know. He's like, I don't care. I'm a drummer. What do I know?
Things I know. Can I just spell it out?
What?
LEWITT.
Lewitt.
All right. Everybody look that up at home. Is he cool or not? I don't know.
Google that. Yeah.
You're cooler than me because I don't know that mic.
I mean, that microphone, and also it goes into. I used the same company for the processor in order to take my audio,
right?
The music, the drums, all of that, and mix it. So without using my other mixer, because that was a pain in the ass, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Will Baird, I notice, is back to a 58. Like Will Baird had his $600 condenser mic.
AKG. Well, the reason it's only because I was using that to record the guitar, during the week, and then we'd have the show, and I'd move it up and use it for vocal. It was just easier than switching it out. And then after a while, I started to notice like background noise, and like the air conditioning turns on, and there's this, I was waiting for you at some point to go, Will, what's with your background noise? What the hell is that?
Who put their mic by the fish tank? Remember there was somebody who had a fish tank. It was like you would hear like in the background, and I'm like, do you have a fish tank? I don't remember who it was, and I was like, and they're like, yeah, I have a fish tank right here.
That's right, just off screen.
Guilty. I'm guilty. I have one right here on the right hand side of me.
It was you.
It was me, Dad. I'm coming clean to you.
Well, I have neighbors who on the other side of the walls here who the way they complain about noise is by making noise. So one guy starts putting up pictures if I'm playing late and it's annoying him. Then I start hearing this, and it's not like him banging on the wall with his fist. He's putting up pictures, And then there's the guy over here puts on like really badass rap stuff, horrible, just awful sounding stuff. And I hear this stuff and go like, yep, okay, they want me to stop. There's never a complaint. It's just
so I'm at Bobby Q's. And I'm running my jam, and I had a band in there. I scheduled a band that was on the louder side. In other words, some bands, they're here. Some bands are here. Some bands are here. Right. So I had coincidentally a band that was like here. And the owner came to me like the week before, and he said, look, we got a problem. I go, what's the problem? He said, there's a couple that lives in this building, but they're 6 floors above us and a block away. And like it was a huge building. Like it was like 100, 200 feet away. And they called the landlord and they complained that we are too loud. And I'm like, there's no way they're hearing us from 6 blocks away. He says, I know. So we had this loud band. So I said, why don't we go up there with the loud band? Let's go up and knock on their door and talk to them. You're the owner of from Bobby Q's, and I'm the music guy from Bobby Q's, and we're going to go up. And he said, bring something that looks official. So I brought like a Tascam 4-track handheld recorder and another thing and a laptop with a screen. He's like, act like you're taking measurements, like it look like we care, I'm like, okay, this is his idea, right? So I show up with all this gear, right, with mics,
Mr. Spock,
and headphones on, and I'm like turning knobs, right? But he's talking to them about the business of music and whatever. We get to the apartment, and first of all, it's in the building, but it's 200 feet away, so it's not like across the street where the sound goes bang across the street.
Yeah.
It's so
like
the sound is actually
echo.
coming. It hits the building across the street, ricochets up there 200 feet down the road or 300 feet down the far, right? We walk in, and this apartment is like the anechoic chamber at NASA, right? It is so quiet. Like, we go in this apartment, you can't hear anything. You're like, who are these people? Like, their fridge doesn't make noise. Like, they've got no TV on. They got no radio on. We walk in, and we're like, we're a little deaf from the music,
Yeah.
So we walk in, right? And they go, you see how loud it is? And we're like, literally, we're looking at each other, right? And he goes, do your readings. So I set up the mic and whatever, and the window. I put something on the window, whatever. And it was so quiet. Like, I'm outside going like this. Like, I'm like I couldn't hear it. But there was a tiny, like, subwoofer 40 hertz, like a,
right.
And we're like, Bobby was like, you got to be kidding. You're like turning us in. Police. They called the police, and they came down, right? Yeah. And the landlord and whatever. And I'm like, couldn't you just turn on a TV or like a Roomba vacuum cleaner or like something? Couldn't your dog fart and like you wouldn't hear the music then,
Yeah. We'll buy you one of those Hammock or Slumber noise machine things.
But I did readings. I did decibel readings. It was like not even showing up on my gear. It was like it was like 23 decibels. It was like quieter than a leaf blowing through the forest when nobody's there.
Yeah, a lot of the decibel meters that I have to try to level. The biggest problem I've got is leveling all of my songs so that they're at the same volume, because it's really hard.
Yeah,
engineers are I got a lot more respect for them now than I did, and so there are a lot of different decibel meter apps you can buy, but they'll have little descriptions along with the decibel level will be like 62, and then it'll say something like leaves in the wind, know, or 85, busy highway, 120, artillery shells exploding, this kind of thing.
Look familiar?
That's literally the one.
So I don't know.
That's the one that I use.
That's the one. Yeah, it's a great app. But
it is. But it's. I mean, if you're in the music industry, you kind of have to have that. I mean, when people tell you you're too loud and all that kind of stuff.
You ever go to the Levitt Pavilion in Westport?
I've not, but I remember used to pass it and stuff. But
what about you, Dave? You ever go to the Levitt in Westport?
No.
Oh, so the Levitt used to be like an outdoor performing arts center. And, of course, Westport is one of the richest towns anywhere, right?
Yes.
It's not as rich as Greenwich, where Dave Robinson is from, but it is definitely a rich town, right?
Yes.
And their performing arts center for many years, for 40, 50 years, from the 1940s, whenever they built it, was like a plywood backdrop and with a little wooden stage, and everybody sat on the grass. It was like the worst performing arts center ever, right? It was like nothing. It was like they built a structure, they nailed some plywood on it, and they painted it, and they wrote Levitt on the top, and that was the Levitt Pavilion. And then now it's fancy. Now they spent $10 million, and they built like tent structures with towers and walkways and like a fancy sound system, whatever. But if you ever play there or if you ever go there, there's multiple people walking around with decimal meters like this during the whole show. They're like walking all over. And if the show goes over like 92 decibels, which is like, a donkey sneezing, like it's like, right? It's not loud, right? Right. They make the drummer, no choice. They have a plexiglass box, and the drummer goes in the
cone of
plexiglass.
silence.
Oh yeah, the
down.
cone of silence, right? And so the Levitt Pavilion, they have rules, and they'll come down and they will shut the band down. Like you cannot, right?
Wow.
And so I'm talking to Drew Friedman, who is the owner of the Cobb's Mill Inn, and I ran my jam there for a number of years. And he was 90. Whatever. He wasn't 99, but he might have been 98. He was an old guy. And I said to him, I said, it's really nice that you have us here, and we can make some noise, and hopefully we're not bothering any of the neighbors, but like the Levitt Pavilion where they don't let you play loud at all. And he said, you know why they don't let you play loud at the Levitt Pavilion? I said, why? He said, because I could hear them from my house a quarter mile away, and I called the cops and I sued them. He was the one. And they let the Levitt Pavilion stay open because he had a rule in his stipulation with the court. He won the lawsuit, and they said you can't go over this many decibels at this many feet or whatever.
Where they got all the that's.
I'm like, you did it, you old geezer! I can't believe you.
Oh my God!
Yes, truth be heard. Yes,
sound.
The Levitt Pavilion. Yes.
Think of how like sound has changed, the security has changed. Like think about it for a moment. Security, you used to have like 5 big burly guys stand in front of the stage, and everyone else would have to stand like 4 feet away from them. Right. And that was it. Very simple. Now you have runways that go out into the Coliseum and then like have a big circular thing, and you got to have guys all around that. Yes. It's like, no wonder they're using, backing tracks instead of live musicians. They have to pay for like 3 times more security people, all the freaking dancers and stuff. Why don't we have dancers on this show, by the way, Ed?
Right. And then you've got some guy who looks like Dave Robinson or like me or like you who thinks it's a good idea to go up and touch Taylor Swift's feet while she's on the runway.
That's right. Yeah.
And he gets 1 inch away from the feet. Like here's the foot, and he gets this close, and 6 giant linebackers like bang, they're on top of him.
Yeah, the guy is like carried off,
right.
above their heads.
They drag him into a tunnel, and take care of him.
That's right. Yeah, you do. I used to work at WBCN Radio, which was at the time was a very hip radio station in Boston, and it was and radio stations are located in like weird places that nobody wants because nobody goes into a radio station. That's like
right.
So this was located behind the bleachers in back of Fenway Park. And the bleachers that was where all the fights took place. That was the entertainment. That was half the entertainment of going to the Red Sox when I was a kid was sitting there and seeing fights break out in the bleachers. You see like people all moving towards something, and then these red jackets all like moving in, closing in on the people, and the guys get hauled out. Well, they would get thrown out right in front of our front door. That's where these drunken, fighting guys who like are bleeding or whatever would be hurled out the door by the security guys. And you'd be like, I'm gotta get out of here. You'd be walking home, and this would, all transpire right in front of you. You'd be like, I'm going back inside the building for a little bit, So I'm not quite sure what made me bring that. Oh, it was the Taylor Swift thing. Things are a little more complex. Lights, sound.
Things are complex. Yeah. You know what's complex tonight is that there's been it's hard. Look, back in the ancient times, it's all I could do to keep Jam TV working. Like I was like, I was like coding to keep the thing going. I was changing router settings during the show, but doing tech support for people who couldn't get their audio working.
That's right. Yeah.
It was like never ending. But I'm not in the habit of reading the comments, but it has been a festive bunch of comments, right? So you got, let's see, we got Deb who said aloha.
Oh,
Will,
Deb,
right?
you're so great.
Same with Dave Robinson, right? And then it's reacting to different things. Tincture. There's a tincture comment, right?
Maybe not.
You get Eric Zetthauser. What's up? Hey, how you doing? You get Janet Walker, friend.
Yes.
What you doing? Right. Yeah. You got your biggest fan. Let's see. Nicole. You contacted her, right? You've been in contact with Nicole, who's in Korea. Well, she's not in Korea anymore. She's back in the States.
Oh yeah. I remember.
She called me. She's like, "Can I buy an album from Will Baird?" I'm like, "I don't know. Here's his number. You call him." Right? And so, she, of course, she's like busting on me. Just one thing wrong with you? You must be talking about me, right? You got Sherry, right? Sherry's like, "Hey, right?
Yeah.
What's going on?" So she's doing okay.
So I wonder if Sherry's on some pain meds.
Oh, I bet she is.
Could be.
This is like the show of sickies, like
It's
you're
true.
back and you fall down the embankment and guys are cutting surgeries and like everybody's like, what the heck is going on here?
That's true. It's very true. It's like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, what's next? Like a swarm of locusts are going to like to descend upon the show?
I spent Saturday night 2 weeks ago in the emergency room. Okay, I haven't been in an emergency room in 20 years. I'm fine, by the way. Thanks for asking. I'm fine.
Thank God.
But I
want to know what the hell happened.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell the story. I wasn't going to tell the story. I wasn't going to put it on Facebook. I'm definitely not putting it on Facebook. So, it's right here. Okay, so you notice I'm wearing glasses more. Like I don't wear glasses usually, right? But I'm wearing glasses more just because my eyes feel better wearing glasses, right? But I get called a nerd. Like I go out and all my friends are like, "You look like a nerd in your glasses." Tax season. I'll give you all my accounting work, Ed. I'm like, come on. Like I got friends who are like, "You look like a rabbi." I'm like, I look like a rabbi. Like, come on. So it's like I get busted on for wearing the glasses so much because everybody got used to me without the glasses, right? And so I was going somewhere, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out and have my glasses, and then people will be thinking I'm a nerd and like give me a hard time. Won't say it, but so I pick up my contact lens case. Right, there's one right here. This case right here, and I was like, all right. So I unscrew it, and I take the contact out, and I hate that part. And I put the contact in my eye, and I'm like, God. And I have this orange cat, right? This little orange cat with hair, like when they talk about the size of a human hair.
Yes.
This cat's hair is a millionth the size of a human hair. Like I will never. It's like microplastics. Like they're in my bloodstream. These cat hairs. Like
I know it's there.
They're
the cat
everywhere
hair in my bloodstream.
And so like here, look on my desk is a piece of little cat hair. And so it's like everywhere, right? And so I'm like, shit. I got it in the contact lens, right? So I'm like, shit. So it was stinging a little, and I put some drops, and now I'm like blinking, and I'm tearing, and I'm like, this is an awful lot of work to like look not like a nerd, like an accountant rabbi, right? And so, I get the thing, and I open up the other side, the left, right, and I go, oh, there's no contact lens in it. I'm like, that's weird. I remember putting the contact lens in it, whatever. So then I go out, right, and I put this on my desk again, and I go out. And I come back about 2 hours later. This eye suddenly turns bright red, like red, like beet red. And it felt fine until then, like bad, like beet red. Now it's hurting, and it's hurting more. Like within a minute or two, it was like a pencil, like it was bad, really hurting. And so I was like, shit, man, like what am I gonna do, right? So I was like, I got to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room, and hours later of dealing with all this crap, right? It turns out this is not my contact lens case.
What?
Or it was probably 5 years ago. My regular contact lens case was over here. And I don't know where this came from, and I haven't seen this case in like years. Like it came out of the train recognition book or something. Like
yeah,
I don't know where
gas,
this came from.
yeah.
So the lens that's in here had been sitting in the solution for like 5 years, and I
What?
put it in my eye. So obviously I got a bad eye infection, and
Right.
and they were like the doctor at the ER. He was really nice. Now it's like 2:00 in the morning and Saturday night, Sunday morning, and he says, "You want me to give you some numbing drops?" And I go, "Hello, like you could have given me that 3 hours ago."
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? So he goes, "Boop," and all of a sudden the pain went away, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's the best thing I've ever had in my life." So then they fixed me, whatever. Give me a bunch of meds and whatever, but no big deal. It's like, you know what? And I'm not bringing that up with Dave Robinson and Bill Nolan and you guys falling down embankments or whatever. I can't like compete with you guys.
Man.
That's the
That's
thing
for
is
sure. Wow, Ed.
I can't compete, so like it was no big deal. Like so, I had something in my eye. Big deal.
No,
It's
I'm
fine.
glad you're okay, brother, because things could have really went south.
You know,
It's
you're
true.
right. You're right.
It is
And so
true.
I go to the doctor now. When I was a young man, I was like, I am not going to the doctor ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm invincible. You know, and like
Yeah, I don't
I have
need.
broken bones. I'm like, I'm not going. I'll just snap it back into place. You know. But now I'm like, I have a splinter. I'm going to the ER. You know.
Yes.
Well, I have a close relationship with the ER. Originally as an EMT, and then
Right.
on the other side of the needle, no longer doing the IVs and getting the IVs. But I kept going, and for stuff where it was like, I think I have a little bit of chest pain, and they're like, the whole system like erupts in red if you say chest pain, difficulty breathing, if you're over the age of like 50, and you get there and they see that you're stable, and so you're going to wait for tests. And my record was from 3 p.m. to 11 a.m. the next day. But then one day I went in, I was having trouble breathing and coughing from like asthma or something. And man, I got like mainlined. I mean, they took me like straight into a bed. There's like a doctor, a nurse, a PA, and they're all like giving me stuff. And I'm like, 5 minutes later, I'm like, I can breathe. And I'm like, I think the emergency room actually isn't such a horrible place after all.
There you go. I haven't been in 30 years, 35 years. I haven't been to the emergency room.
Yeah. Then I'm stuck in the bed, right? And they've put up the, both railings, which you're not supposed to do. It's actually illegal restraint unless the person is not safe. You're restraining them. They can't get out. So,
okay.
And and I'm starting to cough a little again. So you don't yell, nurse. Never yell in the ER. It really pisses off the staff. So I climb down the bottom of the bed because they haven't given me a button to press or anything.
Right.
And I see there's a button, on a little thing on the wall, and so I press it. And the doctor and the nurse and the PA all come running down, and it's like that scene in Risky Business with Tom Cruise in the underwear where he comes sailing in from the side. It's all three of them, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, coughing a little bit more. And the guy goes, "Mr. Baird, that button is for our use.
Yeah.
That button is your button."
Oh, I see.
and the one he was pointing to is like the typical one with like all the TV stuff on it. And so I was like, "I'm sorry, but I am coughing."
Yeah, you're like, that's what's the matter with me.
I'll be fine.
Sorry.
You just send me home.
Sorry for the
I will
pun.
never forget this guy.
All right, well, Barrett, save us. Do one more song, then we're going to call it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave. I want to make Dave feel good because he's been through a lot of shit the last 48 hours.
Nothing
so.
sarcastic, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
This song actually, technically, it is sarcastic with the lyrics, but without the lyrics, it's just Pleasant Valley Sunday. So welcome back, Dave, and you'll be back, Sherry, and everyone else.
Can't go
Randy, come back.
There you go.
Peace. Yep.
Great to see you, Dave. I want to see you back on that drum set soon. To do whatever you have to do to make that happen.
Yeah.
You and me both, man. I love you guys.
Love you too, and I hope you're doing great. Hope everybody's doing great. Nolan was going to be on the show tonight. He's doing fine. He was at a lacrosse party. I'm like, you play lacrosse? But it was at some lacrosse party, and obviously he got way late or had a good time and didn't make it on the MTV.
It blew us off.
I'm not exactly sure, but
I'm getting tired of that show. I don't want to do it
get
anymore.
that story next week, and it's great to see you guys. If anybody wants to come see me play on Friday night, I'm at the bottom of Greenwich Avenue at Ollie's, which is the old McDuff's, with Hot Rubber Monkey Band. You know?
There you go.
And I'll be wearing this shirt. You can sign it, or no, I don't know. You can do something, but come see the show. It's a fun band. And you guys, you hold it down. Is it blistering hot in LA right now?
Not blistering, but actually, I don't know if it's the drugs in me right now.
Could be. Yeah, it could be.
A little warm, but our weather right now, let me see real quick here.
I saw something like the West is having like a massive heat. I bet you it's up the valley is where they have.
I'm 72 degrees right now.
That's great.
That's
But like up the valley by like by Yosemite and that area, it's like blistering hot, and like Death Valley, obviously Arizona is like off the charts right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. We know what that was do. Yeah. Well, on that happy note.
On that happy note, I'm glad it's 72.
Yeah.
72.
All right, gents. Well, that's it for JamTV show 1.
Let me ask you guys.
What?
Was it strange to have JamTV on Wednesday?
I don't know. Oh, it's Wednesday, right? Yeah.
Oh my God! It wasn't until the show started. Yeah, my son. I have a routine on Wednesday nights, so it was like I decided to keep some of it in place and try to organize things between it. So it was the usual, like I can't get my guitar to work. I can't get it, and then at 7:25, I go, oh, I didn't plug it in. Okay,
that's
I'm
it.
ready to go. Yeah.
Me too. All right, good to see you guys. We'll see you next week with show 188. 88 shows was the magic number. Wow. 88 was like, oh my God. I remember we had like 40 shows under our belt.
Yeah,
and Bill Nolan said something like, I don't know, how long could this possibly keep going on? And I said, I think it's going to go on 88 shows. And everybody was like, 88 shows? It couldn't possibly go on 88 shows. And here we are, almost 188 next week. So
fantastic.
Wild, wild, wild.
All right, you guys. Great to see you at JamTV. Right. See you all soon.
All right.
Take care,